It was one of those days when I go to the art supply store with one thing on my mind, to buy one cheap brush, and I ended up paying more than €100 for all of this. I deliberately try not to hoard art supplies. It is difficult, but I usually manage. I don't buy too much paint or countless brushes, but paper is my kryptonite. So I bought my beloved Archie's cotton paper, a new Hahnemuhle sketchbook, even though I haven't finished the old one yet, but I mean, who does that? Who waits for the old sketchbook to be finished to buy a new one? I don't. So much for not being a hoarder. And some blending stumps and 2 tubes of Winsor&Newton professional watercolor paint. Ultramarine blue, and this is called Terra Verde, and it's a light green color. The brush that originally brought me to the store was an affordable Da Vinci flat brush. And more paper. I cannot believe I have never tried this brand before. I am a fan of Archie's and Fabriano paper. I love Saunders Waterford, but I have never painted on Winsor&Newton 100% cotton watercolor paper. It was $36.90, which may seem expensive, but it's 20 sheets of paper, so it's not that bad. I think I want to try it right away, so let's get rid of the foil. You can see that the sheets are glued together. Hey look, this is what I bought! Funny! So the sheets are glued together, except here. Here they are loose, and that's where you start when you want to separate the sheets. I usually use a table knife for it. Wow, okay, the paper feels very nice and silky. It seems softer than Archie's hot press paper, even though they are both 300 GSM. But for some reason this one just feels lighter. I cut the big sheet in two, and I'm going to use one half for a quick test and the second one for a complete illustration the way I normally do, so watercolor and colored pencils, but for that one there will be a separate video. And let's test also these new paints. It's the same brand even, so they match. Okay, so one thing that I don't like about Archie's hot press paper is that it tends to dry pretty quickly, which can be a problem if you are working on larger areas or wet on wet. So let's just apply a clean water and a bit of paint here and see how long does it take for it to dry. So this is Terra Verde paint, and I'm quite curious because the ultramarine is something usual, but this is new to me. It's very light. Let me add more paint to the palette. Wow, this is really strange. The paint does not run, it does not spread on the wet paper like normal watercolor paint would. And it feels kind of funny already in the mixing tray. I had to stop and double check if it's really a watercolor paint that I bought. And yes, it says professional watercolor. But look, it looks almost like something between gouache and acrylic even. Very unusual. The ultramarine, on the other hand, beautiful flow, so nice. But not on the green area, not at all. So strange. This red here is actually Winsor&Newton watercolor too, but the Cotman line, which is more affordable student grade line of paints, and it works just fine. It just seems like the green does not communicate with the rest of the paints at all. I don't know guys, maybe it's just me. So if any one of you knows what is going on with this Terra Verde watercolor, let me know down in the comments, because I have never experienced something like this. Look how the red line just stays the same, whereas here on the blue it spreads nicely. But the paper performs very well. Look, it's still wet here. It seems it might be able to preserve the moist for a longer period of time than the arches. Interesting. Okay, I'm just going to paint a quick watercolor landscape to see how the colors flow on the paper and what texture can we get. Oh, look at this ultramarine, such a nice movement on the paper. I'm going to sprinkle a few drops of water into the wet area of the ground, and yes, we get these nice light droplets. It's like flowers or stars, and I do it a lot in my landscapes. It's such a nice texture. Look at this, I just tap lightly with my brush and the paint effortlessly spread on the paper. I like these semi-abstract landscapes. It's my second passion together with illustrations. I switch to the second one when I'm tired of the first one and vice versa. I even think of starting another YouTube channel dedicated to landscapes like this. I wouldn't like to mix these two topics together because I think the audience might be different for each one. So who knows, maybe in the weeks to follow I'll have two channels. One way or another, I really like this Winsor&Newton paper. It's a bit early to pronounce it my new favorite hot press paper, but I'm looking forward to work with it more. One more test actually, let me see how easy it is to lift the dried paint. Okay, so it's harder than with arches, definitely. You can achieve a lighter spot, but I had to use a bit of a paper towel to suck in the paint. It was not possible just with my brush. It might not be an issue to everyone, but I like having the possibility to lighten up some areas in case I just make a mistake. And it's not impossible, even with this paper, it just seems harder than normally. Okay, the bottom line is that the paper seems lovely, and the paints, the ultramarine is amazing, and the Terra Verde is very strange. So thank you for watching, and if you have any experience with these art supplies and want to add something, please do so in the comment section. Until next time!